If you've been eating heart healthy for the last 20 years and your blood pressure is still going up, this video is for you. I'm a cardiac surgeon. I've looked inside thousands of chests, and I can tell you something that the dietary guidelines from the ADS got badly wrong, wrong in a way that is still sitting in most American kitchens today. Most people doing everything right are still unknowingly feeding the exact inflammation that's destroying their arteries every single day. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what that is, why it matters, and 5 things you can start tonight to change it. No new prescriptions, nothing exotic, just the truth about what's actually in your kitchen and what to do about it. Here's something nobody really gets to explain at your annual checkup, and honestly, it's not entirely your doctor's fault. They've got maybe 12 minutes with you, your chart's open, and 3 more patients are waiting down the hall. But after 60, your blood pressure doesn't just creep up because of stress or too much salt on your eggs. Something deeper is happening inside your arteries, something that's been building slowly, quietly for years. And the most frustrating part, the answer, all 5 pieces of it, has been sitting in your kitchen this whole time. These aren't weird supplements you'd have to special order online. We're talking about stuff you can grab at CVS, Walgreens, or your regular grocery store. Some of it you probably already have. No side effects, no prescription, no $500 deductible standing between you and actually trying this. I need about 15 minutes of your time. Let's make them count. So let me explain what's actually going on inside your body, because once you get the mechanism, these 5 things are going to make complete sense. Think of your blood vessels like a garden hose. When you're young, that hose is flexible, it stretches, it absorbs pressure, it handles whatever you push through it. But as you age, the walls of those vessels start to stiffen. They lose their elasticity, and a rigid hose just can't handle the same pressure a flexible one can. That's when the numbers on the cuff start climbing, and that's when doctors start writing prescriptions. Now here's what most people never hear in that 12-minute appointment. The real underlying driver of that stiffening, more often than not, is chronic inflammation. Slow, silent. Nothing you'd ever notice on a regular Tuesday. But day after day, year after year, it's quietly damaging and narrowing those vessel walls. Your heart has to work harder and harder just to push blood through. And eventually it shows up in your readings. Here's what genuinely shifted how I think about all of this. I've spent 30 years as a cardiac surgeon. I've literally held human hearts in my hands. I've repaired arteries that looked like they belonged in someone 20 years older. And after every single surgery, I kept asking myself the same question: how did it get this far? Inflammation was the answer more times than I can count. And here's the connection that changes everything. What you eat 3 times a day is either fighting that inflammation or feeding it. Every meal is a biological decision your body makes about your blood pressure. Most people have no idea that's even happening. Your doctor doesn't have time to get into it. That's exactly why this channel exists. Quick thing before we go further though. Nothing I'm sharing today replaces your medication. I want to be crystal clear on that. If your doctor's got you on lisinopril, amlodipine, a beta blocker, you keep taking it. What I'm giving you are 5 tools that work alongside whatever you're already doing. Tools that, in my experience, can make a real, measurable difference, sometimes within days. All right, let's get into it. Here's a question tonight at dinner. What do you reach for first? If you're like most Americans, it's the bread, or the mashed potatoes, or whatever's closest and smells the best. I'm going to ask you to try something different tonight, something that honestly sounds almost too simple for a cardiac surgeon to be telling you. Eat your vegetables first, before anything else on the plate, every single meal. I already hear it, that's the big secret. Just hear me out, because the science here is genuinely interesting. When you eat vegetables first, the fiber in those vegetables forms a physical barrier, almost like a mesh inside your stomach. And that mesh does something remarkable. It dramatically slows down how fast the sugar from the rest of your meal hits your bloodstream. Why does that matter for blood pressure specifically? Because every time your blood sugar spikes hard after a meal, your body floods your system with insulin. And that insulin surge causes your blood vessels to physically constrict, to tighten up. Right there at the dinner table, your pressure's going up and you have zero idea it's happening. I've had patients who changed absolutely nothing else. Same food, same portions, same meds. Just the order: vegetables first, protein second, carbs last. Their post-meal blood pressure readings dropped noticeably within 2 weeks. One of my patients, a retired nurse from Ohio, 68 years old, called me after 3 weeks and said, "I've been telling my patients this my whole career and never once applied it to myself." So tonight, before you grab the bread, before you get into the rice, finish the vegetables on your plate first. Every bite counts. And speaking of stuff that's probably been sitting in your pantry doing nothing, the next one might actually surprise you. 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar in a glass of water with each meal. That's it. I already know what you're thinking, and honestly, good. A little healthy skepticism is what keeps you from falling for bad health advice on the internet. So let me walk you through the actual science because there's more here than most people realize. The active compound in apple cider vinegar is acetic acid. And acetic acid does two very specific things that are directly relevant to your blood pressure. First, it improves insulin sensitivity. Remember those post-meal blood sugar? It helps your cells respond to insulin more efficiently, so your body doesn't need to pump out as much of it. Less insulin, less constriction, lower pressure. Second, and this is honestly the part that got me when I first read the research, acetic acid actually stimulates the production of nitric oxide in your blood vessel walls. Nitric oxide is your body's natural vasodilator. It tells your arteries to relax and open up. It's essentially doing what an entire class of blood pressure medications tries to do naturally for about $3 a bottle at any pharmacy in America. Now, one real important caution here. Don't drink it straight. Always dilute it in at least 8 ounces of water and use a straw if you've got one. Undiluted vinegar can damage your tooth enamel and irritate your esophagus. And if you've got any history of stomach ulcers or acid reflux, just run it by your doctor before you start. For most people over 60 without those conditions, though, this is genuinely one of the simplest, safest things you can add to your routine. 1 glass with breakfast, 1 with lunch, 1 with dinner. Give it 3 weeks and check your numbers. Have you ever used apple cider vinegar for anything? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and I'm curious what you've heard versus what you've actually tried. Now, what I'm about to tell you next is something your morning blood pressure reading will never show you, and it might honestly be the most important 2 minutes of this whole video. Let me ask you something. Do you check your blood pressure in the morning? Most people do. They get a decent reading, feel relieved, and go about their day. But here's what almost nobody's talking about. What is your blood pressure actually doing while you're asleep? For a lot of Americans, over 60 pressure doesn't drop the way it should overnight. It should go down. It should give your heart a real break. But in a condition called nocturnal hypertension, it stays elevated, or it actually spikes while you're lying there completely out of it. Your heart's working overtime at 2 in the morning. Your arteries are under stress, and you wake up feeling beat foggy, wondering why 8 hours of sleep didn't do a thing. Nocturnal hypertension is one of the most underdiagnosed and dangerous patterns in cardiovascular medicine. It's linked to a significantly higher risk of stroke and heart attack. And here's the kicker, your regular morning reading won't catch it. You can have totally acceptable daytime numbers and still have a serious problem happening every single night. So what do walnuts have to do with any of this? Quite a bit, actually. About 30 grams, roughly 14 halves, eaten about 30 minutes before bed has been shown in multiple studies to meaningfully reduce nighttime blood pressure. Here's why. Walnuts are one of the richest plant sources of alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. They also contain melatonin and a compound called L-arginine. Together, those three work to relax blood vessel walls, reduce vascular inflammation, and support that natural overnight pressure drop your body's supposed to be making. Think of it like a gentle signal to your cardiovascular system, hey, it's time to rest. Stand down. 30 grams, 14 halves, 30 minutes before bed. Seriously, write that down. It's one of the simplest things I recommend, and one of the most consistently effective. And what I want to get into next has been used in traditional medicine on 3 different continents for centuries, and modern cardiology is finally catching up. I want to tell you about a flower, a deep red flower that's been used in traditional medicine across Africa, Latin America, and the Middle East for hundreds of years, and that research published in peer-reviewed journals has now confirmed is genuinely powerful for blood pressure. Hibiscus tea, 3 cups a day. If you've never heard of it, you might know it as sorrel carcade or just red tea. It's got this tart, almost cranberry-like flavor. You can find it at most grocery stores, definitely on Amazon, and more at places like Trader Joe's and Whole Foods. Here's how it works. Hibiscus flowers contain compounds called anthocyanins, and organic acids, specifically hibiscus acids. And these compounds act on your blood vessels in a way that's strikingly similar to a class of prescription drugs called ACE inhibitors. You've probably heard of ACE inhibitors, lisinopril and allopril. They're some of the most commonly prescribed blood pressure medications in the country. What they do is block an enzyme that causes your blood vessels to constrict. Hibiscus does the same thing, naturally, and without the dry cough that so many patients complain about as a side effect of the medication. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that drinking hibiscus tea daily reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 7 points in adults with mildly elevated pressure. 7 points. That's clinically significant. That's the kind of result that ends up in medical journals. 3 cups a day, hot or cold, minimal sugar, because sugar works directly against everything we're trying to do here. A small spoon of honey is totally fine. One important heads up though. If you're already on an ACE inhibitor, please talk to your doctor before you start adding hibiscus tea regularly. Stacking a natural ACE inhibitor on top of a pharmaceutical one can push your pressure lower than you want it. We're going for balance, not overcorrection. For most people, though, this is just a genuinely enjoyable habit. A warm cup in the morning, one in the afternoon, one in the evening. Your arteries will notice the difference. What's your go-to tea these days? Let me know below. I'm curious how many of you are already helping your heart without even realizing it. All right, this last one, I actually want you to get up and look in your kitchen cupboard after this video. Because what I said at the beginning about something sitting in most American kitchens that the old dietary guidelines got badly wrong, this is it. Most of the cooking oils filling up supermarket shelves in America, canola, soybean, sunflower, corn oil, are loaded with omega-6 fatty acids. Now, omega-6 isn't the villain here. Your body genuinely needs some of it. The problem is the ratio. For most of human history, people ate roughly equal amounts of omega-3 and omega-6 fats pretty close to 1 to 1. Today, according to research published in nutritional epidemiology journals, the average American is taking in anywhere from 15 to 20 times more omega-6 than omega-3. That's not a small gap, that's a canyon. And that extreme imbalance drives exactly what every cardiologist and cardiac surgeon dreads: chronic systemic inflammation. That same slow-burning inflammation in your blood vessel walls we talked about earlier. Excess omega-6 from refined oils is one of the primary things fueling that fire. Here's what makes it even worse. These oils are chemically unstable at high heat. When you cook with them at normal stovetop temperatures, they oxidize. They break down into compounds called aldehydes, which research has shown are directly toxic to blood vessel walls. Your food doesn't taste any different. You can't see it happening, but the damage adds up meal after meal. I know this goes against everything you were told in the 80s and 90s. You switched to canola because somebody said it was the heart-healthy choice. You read the labels. You did exactly what the guidelines said. I heard it too. But the science has moved on. And as someone who has looked inside thousands of human chests, the evidence now points clearly in a different direction. So what should you use instead? Two things. Extra virgin olive oil for anything that doesn't need super high heat: salad dressings, light sautéing, drizzling over roasted vegetables, dipping sourdough. Extra virgin olive oil is packed with oleocanthal, a natural anti-inflammatory compound, and monounsaturated fats that actively support healthy blood vessel function. Decades of research, including the landmark PREDIMED trial published in the New England Journal of Medicine, back this up pretty conclusively. And for higher heat cooking, real butter. Yeah, I said it. Not margarine. Margarine is made from the same problematic vegetable oils we're trying to get away from. Real traditional butter from grass-fed cows, if you can find it at Costco or Trader Joe's. Used in reasonable amounts, it's a far better choice for your cardiovascular system than the refined seed oils most American families are cooking with every single day. Check your cupboard tonight. If you've got canola or soybean oil in there, you don't have to chuck it right now. Just don't buy more when it runs out. Replace it with extra virgin olive oil. That one swap alone over 3 to 6 months can make a measurable difference in your inflammatory markers and your blood pressure. I want to stop here for a second because something really needs to be said. You've just heard 5 things. Eat vegetables first. Apple cider vinegar with meals. Walnuts before bed. Hibiscus tea 3 times a day. Swap the oils. And I can pretty much guarantee some of you are thinking this sounds too simple. If it actually worked, my doctor would have mentioned it. I get it. I had that exact reaction early in my career. But here's what 30 years of opening chests and repairing damaged hearts has really taught me: the most powerful interventions are almost never the most complicated ones. Your body isn't looking for complexity. It's looking for the right conditions to heal itself. And here's what genuinely still gets me even now. Every single one of these 5 things works through the same core mechanism: reducing inflammation and improving blood vessel flexibility. 5 different doors all leading into the same room. Once you see it that way, it stops feeling like a random list and starts feeling like an actual strategy. The man I told you about, the one doing everything right on 4 medications, pressure still dangerously high. After his surgery, I sat with him and his wife for a good long while. We talked through all 5 of these things carefully in coordination with his cardiologist. 6 months later, he came back for his follow-up. His doctor had taken him from 4 medications down to 2. His inflammatory markers had dropped significantly. His pressure was stable, genuinely stable for the first time in years. He looked like a different person. 10 years younger, easy. The first thing he said when he walked in was, "Why didn't anyone tell me this sooner?" That question stuck with me. It's a big reason this channel exists. The research is out there. The evidence is solid. But somewhere between the lab and the doctor's office and the patient sitting at their kitchen table in middle America, it gets lost. You are sitting at that kitchen table right now, and you have everything you need to start tonight. Not tomorrow. Not after your next appointment. Tonight. That is not a small thing. That is everything. Let's do a quick recap clearly so you can write it down or screenshot this. 1. Eat your vegetables first at every meal before the bread, before the rice, before anything else. 2. 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar and water with each meal. 3. 30 grams of walnuts, about 14 halves, 30 minutes before you go to sleep. 4. 3 cups of hibiscus tea every day, hot or cold, minimal sugar. 5. Replace your canola and soybean oils with extra virgin olive oil and real butter for high heat cooking. No exotic supplements, no expensive gadgets, nothing that needs a prescription or a prior authorization from your insurance company. Here's what I want you to do right now. Before you close this out, pick just one. Not all 5. Just the one that feels most doable for you tonight. Maybe it's the vegetables first. Maybe it's ordering some hibiscus tea. Maybe it's just going to take a look at that oil situation in your cupboard. Start there. Because real lasting change doesn't come from overhauling your entire life at once and burning out by the end of the week. It comes from one small decision made consistently until it quietly becomes just the way you live. I've seen this work, not in theory, but in real people, in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, who decided it wasn't too late to give their body better tools. It is never too late. Your blood vessels are remarkably responsive. Give them the right environment and they will respond. Which of these 5 are you going to try first? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if this video helped you or someone you love, please share it. There are people in your life right now, a parent, a sibling, a friend, managing their blood pressure on their own who need exactly this information and have no idea it's out there. If you haven't subscribed to Healthcore yet, please do. Every week we bring you honest, evidence-based information, the kind I wish every single one of my patients had access to long before they ever needed surgery. No sponsored content, nothing to sell. Just the research translated into something you can actually use. Take care of your heart. It has been working for you every single minute of your life without ever once asking for a day off. It deserves this. One last thing, and this really does matter. Everything I've shared today is general health information based on current research and my clinical experience. It is not a substitute for your personal medical care. Please do not stop or reduce any medication your doctor has prescribed without talking to them first. Bring this to your next appointment. Have that conversation. Your doctor is your partner in this. These 5 strategies work best when they work alongside proper medical supervision.